The Yahweh sect has prospered in Miami. It is believed to own close to $2 million in real estate. Its membership runs into the thousands. Secrecy is a hallmark. Cult members believe themselves to be the true descendants of the biblical tribe of Judah. Critics say they espouse hatred of whites. Their leader is, or was, Moses Israel, a one-time black Muslim. In recent years, Yahweh members have been accused of child abuse in New York and of a firebombing in Delray Beach, Florida. Today, the frightened tenants of the apartment complex were moved to a neighborhood center, while the Yahwehs defended their actions.
All we did was move in and clean up.
But the police said it went beyond cleanup. A member of the sect was arrested this afternoon and charged with murder. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Miami.
Finally, members of a so-called religious sect were once honored for fighting drugs and saving inner-city buildings. Now they face criminal charges. Doug Tennell has our report.
Federal agents arrested leaders of the Nation of Yahweh in simultaneous nighttime raids in Miami, Atlanta, and New Orleans. The charge, racketeering and extortion, including 14 murders and the firebombing of a Florida neighborhood.
Lots of men, machine guns in the face. That's what I saw. It was dark.
The central figure in the indictment is Yahweh ben Yahweh, the group's leader who claims to be the Son of God. The Yahwehs, as they are known, accumulated substantial wealth in the early 80s, including several Miami businesses and a fleet of expensive vehicles to match their flowing robes. Many of those arrested were members of the group's security guard, created to protect Yahweh and enforce his will. Yahweh called his Miami headquarters the Temple of Love.
I'm the Prince of Peace, and that when we become the people of peace, that the whole world will help you.
But the government indictment paints a different picture. It accuses the group of murdering former members who strayed from the organization and describes ritual killings of whites in order to gain entry into a super-secret subgroup of the Yahwehs called the Brotherhood. But the Yahwehs were not just a fringe group. They ran their own grocery store, medical care units, and even vegetable gardens to help support their followers. Yahweh's militant tactics for dealing with drug dealers brought him wide support in the black community.
What does America look like trying to take property from a productive segment and give it to drug dealers, give it to drug addicts? I say, hell no. Yahweh is God. No.
The indictment alleges that after Yahweh ordered several of his followers to purge the drug dealers from a neighborhood in Delray Beach, they obeyed him and drove the pushers out with firebombs. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Miami.
And that's it from here for this Thursday morning. Back to Harry.
The pre-dawn raids began on a number of fronts as a Metro-Dade SWAT team was surrounding the headquarters of the controversial Yahweh religious sect here in Liberty City. Yahweh leader Ben Yahweh was being arrested in New Orleans. FBI agents also arrested his second-in-command, Judith Israel, in Atlanta. The arrests come on the heels of a federal indictment handed down last week.
Yahweh ben Yahweh and the Nation of Yahweh were targeted for destruction by the federal government. The United States government has a history of incarcerating innocent black leaders. It is almost a badge of honor for a black man to go to jail in this country. There is an actual pattern of human rights leaders, civil rights leaders, and community leaders being falsely accused and wrongfully imprisoned by the federal government. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King Jr., and Reverend Ben Chavis are all innocent men who have gone to jail. South Africa and India have also jailed innocent leaders, which is why Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi went to jail. History has shown that because a man is accused does not mean he is guilty. Because a man is convicted does not mean he is guilty. Jesus is a case in point. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is a liar, a murderer, a robber, and a thief. Historically, whenever a person of color becomes too powerful in this country, the government finds a way to take him down.
In your opinion, does this set a dangerous precedent? For example, the entire Catholic Church or the Nation of Islam or even other nations, other sovereign nations?
I could give you the glib remark, and that is, obviously that's a rhetorical question. But not taking it rhetorically, I think it does in fact represent a dangerous precedent, and who knows who's going to be the next victim of this particular use of the statute. It's extremely broad, and all the prosecution really has to do is to fashion some set of facts, allege certain particular acts, such that it would fall within the four corners of the legislation, and you can conceivably be charged as a result. And who knows who's going to be the next victim.
70 miles southeast of Atlanta, Eatonton is the seat of Putnam County, best known as the dairy capital of Georgia.
Oh, they got 400 and something acres. Goes up to that corner, y'all.
William Larman is a dairyman, and he's talking about his new neighbors.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy for them.
But they are not dairymen.
Because they said they come from what? Rips. Planet Rips, I think.
It is not a joke to the people who've built these two large pyramids and elaborate Egyptian-style ornamentation and put up rows of double-wide homes on some 400 acres of rural Putnam County farmland and woodland.
How many people live here?
Got different families.
It's a place that granted our request for a visit inside the secured gate, allowed us to watch the workers build new ceremonial structures, allowed us to listen close up to the continuous chant broadcast from a speaker bank at the top of one of the pyramids.
For our people that want to get spiritually in tune with the innocent.
But for the most part, sidestepped our requests for answers.
What about the guy from another planet?
We'll make sure you get all the newspapers. That's my dad.
Are they a cult?
Depends on the definition of a cult. Certainly there are many characteristics similar with other entities that are defined as cults.
How long you lived here?
About 6-7 months.
Jerry, our tour guide, says he came here from Alabama. The sheriff says most of the other residents come from the Northeast, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore. How many, including how many children, is unclear.
He's Yanun?
He's known by many names.
The group's leader is identified in literature as Malachi Zodok York, the Supreme Grand Master. He is described as a charismatic speaker and apparently a prolific writer, producing monthly newsletters and dozens of books.
He says that he is from the 8th planet in the 19th galaxy of ʟᴏᴅ, a universe far outside of this one. Does it make sense to you?
That's in the book. If he wrote it, then yeah. We're from Orion. Dr. York is from Risk. He's from Orion. What's the deal? It's nothing strange. It's just new to the public.
The vast majority of cults are started by an individual who's extremely charismatic, who's very confident, very commanding, in some cases very demanding, expects an awful lot of the followers.
So this is the Compound nightclub?
No, it's not a compound.
Oh, it's not a compound? I'm sorry.
Not at all.
The centerpiece of the Putnam County property is a nightclub the group opened in October. At midday, it was in high decibel preparation for an upcoming party. Outside, there were parked 3 stretch limousines.
It's an Egyptian theme park.
This is a theme park?
An Egyptian theme park.
Now, there's some people who think this is a cult.
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. We don't happen to have a religious belief. You follow what I'm saying? Now, on the other hand, culture, there's a connection there. So if you say we're a cult in the sense of we found a culture that works for us, yeah.
Are they dangerous?
I have no information to indicate that they are dangerous.
What they are is a roadside curiosity to native Putnam Countyans, and to the folks inside the gate, a community with children and entertainment, and an Egyptian theme, and a leader they call Grandmaster, who writes that he's from another planet.
Maybe the spaceship come in here and I could get away with them on it.
You see all that we're building out there?
Yeah.
Does it look like we're going anywhere soon to you? We build it. It's so beautiful out there. It's a beautiful, peaceful environment where we invite any nationality, any race to come out and visit.
Russ, authorities came fully armed and prepared for any hostilities. They came with helicopters, several SWAT teams, and dozens upon dozens of police cars and armed officers. As you can see there, authorities are now going building by building, it would appear, serving these search warrants. Here's another load of cargo going out and some trailers that they have brought onto the property. This is a very large compound covering several acres. The highlight of the compound are these Egyptian pyramids that sit at the center. We've seen authorities going in and out of those two pyramids as well. Some of the Nuwaubian nation remain on the grounds. Authorities, SWAT teams and officers are sitting next to them as they sit on the ground over here near the shade. They have sat there for the whole hour and a half that we have been on scene, being watched by those FBI agents you see at the top of your screen. Authorities have also, in the last half hour or so, lined this compound with squad cars. Local authorities are also on the scene. As we pan out here every few feet, there is what appears to us to be Putnam County Sheriff's officers with squad cars just lining the area. Highway 142 is shut down. They have brought in lights. The authority, the FBI, has to flood this compound with lights, as it appears they're going to be serving these warrants for quite some time.
Moved to Putnam County, Georgia, where he transformed nearly 500 acres of farmland into something resembling ancient Egypt. The Nuwaubians allowed Fox 5 to tour the property in 1999. In 2002, the FBI raided the compound. York was arrested and charged with more than 100 counts of sexually molesting dozens of children, some as young as 4 years old. Today, he is still serving his 135-year sentence in a Colorado prison. Although the Nuwaubian nation of Moors has a brief history here in Georgia, members claim their teachings date back several millennia. The group claims to be ancestors of Egyptians who migrated to this continent and became known as Native Americans. York's followers believe he's from another planet.
We're from Orion. Dr. York is from Risk. He's from Orion. What's the deal? It's nothing strange. It's just new to the public.
That last interview was shot back in 1999. In 2004, the Putnam County compound was sold under government forfeiture and demolished a year later.
That he is, and of course the king is on it. He is from the planet Risk. From the planet man from the planet Risk. Here's the man, the child molester, right? Here it is. And then we change from that to a reincarnated Pharaoh.
You understand what I'm trying to do? And because they see how close I am to succeeding, where a lot of other so-called black leaders failed, there's a concentrated effort to stop them. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition? In other words, like it says, who can stand against us now? Who can? We went to a battle with demons in Putnam County. We warred against these devils, am I right? They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down to make sure. They did everything they could, and not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult.
Worshiping this man like he's God's gift to the world. And that's what they truly believe. And he is God on earth, and he's going to be their only salvation. It's like, since when?
And who knows who's going to be the next victim.
Perfect people, perfect, 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 and blessings. This is Africa Bambaataa of the Universal Zulu Nation in great support of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York. We are here to talk about our brother who needs to be free from jail, that everybody needs to get the facts right, to get out there and seek the truth, the factology to what happened in this case, to bring it before the public, to bring it before the people, to get a right overstanding on the case of Dr. Malachi Z. York. My brother here, Brother King Malik from the Zulus of Atlanta, Georgia, has something to say also.
Hotapu, Pop, we'd like to let you know that we're definitely here to support you, and that we would like to bring it to all of the leaders, all of the representatives, and the heads of council, and everything else of all the different counties of the case, what's happening, what's going on, the information that's being suppressed, the evidence that's being suppressed, and we think that is definitely an urgent case for everybody to be involved with.
This is definitely a case that needs to be open. It needs to be open for all the public to see, for all the public to view, all the public to get an understanding, for we could get the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding of what has happened to our brother, Dr. Malachi Z. York. And if this can happen to him, just imagine what can happen to you. Peace.
And who knows who's going to be the next victim.
Definitely hurting, and it was definitely crazy to hear this now when I was doing so much other work in the community at the time.
A Fox 5 exclusive, one of hip-hop's founding fathers speaking out for the first time on television about shocking child abuse allegations. And the list of accusers is growing, and they all tell similar stories.
Africa Bambaataa being accused of sexually abusing several underage boys decades ago. Lisa Evers sat down with him for an exclusive TV interview to answer the allegations. She joins us now. Lisa.
Well, Stephen Derry, Africa Bambaataa brought peace to violent city streets, but now he is accused of a crime that is tough to forgive, molesting boys. He sat down with me for this exclusive interview, and no questions were off limits. Have you ever abused any underage boy?
I never abused nobody. You know, it just sounds crazy to people to say that, yeah, you abused me. You know, my thing is, you know all my people back then. You know the hundreds of people that been around me. You know, if something like that happened, why you never went to none of them?
Party people. It also sounded crazy to many fans of his 1980s hit song, Planet Rock, considered one of the all-time greatest in hip-hop. Since then, as the founder of the hip-hop cultural organization Zulu Nation, he's been a visiting professor at Cornell and invited to speak around the world. He told me the accusations came as a shock. What is the motivation?
Yeah, what is the motivation? What is the agenda?
Do you think there is an agenda there?
It's hard to say. You know, you don't know what many of these people are thinking, what is behind it.
Peace. This is King of Black Supremacy. With this particular video, I want to talk about the God-man factor and the worldwide plot to destroy the manifestation and the embodiment of the God-man, which is a representation of absolute power, supreme intelligence, that would be revolution without doubt. That there is a worldwide conspiracy to prevent that from happening, and it's written into the consensus reality. In this particular video, I want to use Guru Ram Rahim. I could use a lot of people. Dr. Malachi Z. York, Africa Bambaataa, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Prince 13 Heads, Master Farah Muhammad, I could have used so many people to gain down guru of Jamaica. There's so many people who could have been used in this video because there's a pattern and they've used the same tactics over and over again out of their fear of the God-man factor. It's a recurring theme, as you will see in this video. Ram Rahim was a very powerful guru in India with over 60 million worldwide followers. And he was taken down by the government of India with the use of the media, demonized, defamed. See, we thought it was just a thing that was going on in America happening with black people. This video will show that it's a human consciousness issue. That our evolution to democracy is our fear of men who can possess absolute and divine power on this earth. And our escape from that, because that has been demonized. We flock to democracy and we become slaves of our governments and our institutions. They protect us from the fear of the God-man, of the theocratic monarch, of the so-called dictator, of this all-powerful absolute entity that has been presented as being corrupt. No man should have that kind of power. We fear that. And out of our fear by that, we're manipulated by those government agencies and institutions and those groups that capitalize off of our fear of the God factor. They make money when society is set up in a way. They cater more to groups, group interests. That keeps certain groups in power. We want change, but as long as those groups stay in power, there will never be change. And that individual who is the God factor will be in the most practical position, the most realistic position to induce social change, because the amount of esteem, the amount of influence, the amount of wealth, and the amount of intelligence that they have possessed that have slipped under the radar, that amount of power can change the world overnight, and they know this. So they must suppress the masses of people to make sure none of them awaken or become conscious. Because they know that in that masses, that there's one among them who can reach the God factor consciousness that will radically change the world and change society as we know it. They're absolutely clear on this fact. In this video, I will show you a pattern that will seem very familiar to you of how they continue to take down gurus and God-men, labeling them as cult leaders, making up allegations against them, getting them for money laundering, rape allegations, human trafficking, pedophilia, etc. Attacking them for living lavishly. But while their diplomats and their politicians within their so-called democratic governments and Republican governments live as lavish, or more lavish than these God men. The bankers, the 1%, but they're able to get away with it. Because they are no threat to the structure, to the system. They're no threat to the matrix of stagnation, of the evolution of human consciousness. So they're allowed to have this wealth. They choose the individuals who will represent these groups, who will represent the elite. They choose the ones that they will allow to have a certain amount of power and esteem and fame and position. And those individuals are expendable and they are puppets of the elite. But every now and then, an individual will awaken as a representative of the God-man factor. The ultimate threat to society, to the consensus reality, to the matrix. The embodiment of light, of enlightenment, of an awakened entity, of an awakened being.
and they will gain so much power and wealth and influence that they won't be able to stop the change that this man will be able to create. I intend to show you something that you will recognize in this video that will be very near to you. We saw it with Dr. Malachi Z. York. We saw it with Yahweh ben Yahweh. We saw it with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We continue to see it over and over again, the fear and the demonization of the God factor in man. Our awakening will happen with man, with the embodiment of man. They have you pray to a mystery God, while elite groups control all the resources, control all the wealth, and manipulate the masses of asses for their agenda. But they demonize the God-man that can awaken you and establish a utopia on earth, that can establish heaven on earth, that can establish the kingdom of God, that can actually fulfill your desire for the manifestation of a divine reality on earth. These men are capable, and they're able to go to war with forces that be, to become a militant force of social change through their teachings, through their message, through their organization, into their implementation of new ideas and a new vision in this world. I intend to show you that in this particular video. Stay tuned. I used Raheem because I didn't want nobody to get emotional about the black leaders in America that they hate. So I used someone outside of America to also show you that this is a worldwide phenomenon of the fear of the God-man factor and the evolution from feudalism to democracy. Democracy was created to suppress individual exponential growth into absolute power. The whole education system, the media, and capitalism is meant to suppress all individuals and hope that they would suppress the individual. It's happening in India, it's happening in America, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in Iceland, France, Greece, Canada. The list goes on. But I just want to give you one example here, and I'll just call this the fear of the God-man factor part 1.
da da da